Hello, welcome back. My name's Kari Waltz and I'm in my studio today doing something a little different. I'm going to show you how to create these lanyards with plastic lace. I made them several years ago, and a friend of mine who runs a craft cabin at a local church wanted to be reminded of how do you do that? So I thought, well, why not make a video? So I'm going to show you today how to create these larger pieces, and there'll be a couple of different sizes. I'm going to show you today how to begin them, how to weave them, and even how to make a finished end. So I hope you stay with me and go get some plastic lace and give it a try. This is out of what I normally do, but it's still in the arts and crafts realm, and it was a need, so I figured why not post it. So here we go. Before you begin, you need to collect your materials. If you want to make lanyards, I call them lanyards, keychains this big, then you're going to need the measurements in parenthesis, which is 2 yards of 2 or 3 cords. These are made with 3 cords that are 2 yards and 1 cord that is 3 yards. You always have to have 1 cord that's longer, and that's called your sewing cord, because it's what goes back and forth that weaves them together, and that cord will be the very outside color. So the sewing cord on this particular one was green because it's on the inside or the center of all the spirals. The sewing cord of this one would have been the turquoise. So if you're particular about your design, you want to think about that before you cut your cord. I am beginning a lanyard with 1.5 cords, or 1.5 yards with 2 cords. I found the center by folding it and stretching it out. Those are the center, and I put the center over my index finger. Before I begin anything else, I need to put my ring that I'm going to use on these cords. If you don't do it now, it's real hard to pull it apart and separate it. So you have to decide what type of ring you want. I might want this. If I do, that's easy enough. I can just open this up, slide it through, work it off that, and hang keys off that. If I want the smaller one, I'm going to have to weave it through. I'll just get it right now. Since this is going to be a fairly small lanyard, I'll just do that. Put it through, find the center. See, there's the center, because that's where that is. Get the little end. It's going to be a little awkward, but it will work. And you want them to still be side by side. All right, so over your index finger. But that way you have 2 cords to support your keychain. If you only put 1 through there, it probably won't last very long. All right, so now remember, when you bring your cords over when you're sewing, you push 1 down, pick 1 up, push 1 down, pick 1 up. I just wove with my thumb. But I don't have a sewing cord, so I need a sewing cord. So I take my sewing cord, run it through here, pull it around. I'm pulling it to where the ends meet. It's out of camera sight, so I put the ends together, then I pull gently. That shows me that's halfway. Then I hold it with my thumb. I lift this up enough to have some slack, and I take the one. This is where I do 1 at a time, because I don't have a beginning started that's already secure. I do not want this front cord to be picked up. I want the back one. pick it up, run it through, get it untwisted so it lays flat. Then you can lift your finger out and pull it tight. Now, see how this shifted to the bigger side? I really want it to stay on the small one, so just shift it around, tighten it up, and that's where your keychain hopefully will stay. It'll shift a little bit, but anyway, this one is started. We're going to weave with our thumb, pull the sewing cord over, shift these up, pull this through, tighten it up. Make sure they're not twisted before you give them a good pull. Okay, remember when we're sewing or weaving, we want to put, instead of using our index finger first, we want to leave our index finger free to pull those over. So that's pretty much the only difference in starting it, is you start it with your index finger, and your index finger's free when you weave. Okay? Now, you just keep going. Okay, so we just finished our first knot, so we're going to do it again. Hold it between your middle finger and your ring finger, cords up, cords down, left and right, east and west, however you want to think about it. And you're going to bring the upper cords over your index finger. You're going to weave with your thumb, in, out, or up, down, or however you want to think about it. Hold that. Bring your sewing cord over, secure that. Bring what's down, up, and to the right. You look for the cord you haven't used yet. Grab the end, send it through. As it's going through, you can pull your fingers out, start gently pulling in the cords. Okay, so as you do that, it's going to twist and create a curve in the sewing. That's what gives this spiral look. If you want to not spiral, you have to do it slightly different. So let me show you that. All right, so if I was doing this spiral, remember when I bring my cords over, I bring one in and pick up the other. What that does is shifts the position of the cords. If you want to do it straight, you just look and see which one's on top or which one's closest to your hand. This one's closest to my hand, so I just keep it closer to my hand. This one's closer to my hand, so I keep it closer to my hand. You see how they line up right on top of each other? This one's not twisted, this one's not twisted. So that's the shift of what you would do. Then when you hold this down, you keep it to the left or to the side where it lines up with what's right underneath it. Oops, forgot one. Forgot a stitch. Whoops, so you always have to do... Okay. I hadn't done this in years. All right, so I want to keep that lined up. Once I keep that lined up, then I have to use my sewing cord. My sewing cord, let's see which one. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to use this one over here, because if I don't use this one first, you see how this is loose? If I had used this one, that would be loose. And then I wouldn't be able to keep these in order. So probably confuses you, but Anyway, take the outside, put it over here. It's harder because you don't have anything to hold it in place. You take these straight across. Okay. I still have my loop up. So I push that through, letting it go, tightening it up. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple like that. And do them real quick. I'm lined up with what's above it. I'm going to now bring this one across. I look at what's on the outside that's loose. I've got to secure that cord. So I bring that over here. This is very much like the other one. Take it across. Bring the one I hadn't used through. Alright, so this should line up and be making it straight up and down rather than curved, but you got to do a couple more to see it. Alright, so I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to look again to see that I'm keeping it lined up. That's correct. This is the one that's loose. See how the outside is connected here? This one's not. So that's why you have to bring this one over first. Then you put these to the left to keep them lined up. Bring the sewing cord you haven't used this direction. Tighten it up. See how it's going straight? Again, we'll do it a couple more times. You can you can zip through this and get to the end. I'm going to show you how to end it, but I will not make you sit through the entire thing because it would take a while. I will speed up the process and not be talking through the whole thing. So, all right, secure what's loose. That one's loose. This has got to go this direction. Over. See, this is the one you have to think about. If you do the spiral one, what I love about the spiral one, you don't have to think about it. You do the same thing all the time. All right, so there's a little bit of straight. I'm going to go back to the spiral and push in, pick up, push in, pick up, cross over, hold it, flip what's down, up, pick the cord you haven't used, go through the loops, slip out your hands, pull things tight. Okay? Okay, I'm looking at this one saying, I'm liking the length. I might want it a little longer. Do I want to continue with this pattern or just spiral it off and end it? Just for sake of simplicity, I'm just going to spiral it off. So I'm going to do a couple of more stitches of the original one where you pull in toward your hand, weave with your thumb, bring your sewing cord over. Which, keep in mind that every time I do something with these cords, like pulling this down, doing this weave, all right, I just finished that section of this cord, then it's the sewing cord's turn. So that's turn. Now it's time for this one again, and I pull it over and hold it down. Then it's the sewing cord's turn. So then I put that through here and let go. Make sure that you don't have anything twisted in here, that as you pull, that you double check that they haven't gone the wrong direction. And you don't want to make your strings too short when you get toward the end, because you want to have a length long enough to weave them into a final tassel. So I'm about ready for that. I don't want this too long. What I love about these, they're so easy to spot in your purse, or you can identify what the key is for by what color this is. If you're working with a bunch of kids, I would recommend that you put a piece of tape over this part and write their name on it, so that if it's set down, you know exactly who it belongs to and someone else can't claim their work. So I would definitely do that. All right, so on this last one, I'm going to weave it just like I've done the traditional weave. You could do this also if you were doing it square. But instead of making it very tight, you want to pull it to where it's still has some slack in it. It's not tight. And then you look for what's the center. The center of this would be this hole right there. There's 2 on this side, 2 on this side. 1 on this side, 1 on this side. This hole right there is where I'm aiming. Okay, everybody see that? I hope so. So you just pick a cord. It doesn't matter which cord. I'm going to just pick this one because it was closest to me. I'm going to go around one that's attached. This one is attached. So I'm going to go around it, up under, and through that center hole. Don't pull hard. And just shift your hand and hold that. Pick your next cord that's available. You go past an attached cord. That one is attached. So I go through that, and I go up where I just sent that other one. I turn it. I pick the next one, go past an attached cord, and up through where the others are. Now that one's getting twisted, so I want to flip that around so that when it's pulled out, it will be flat. And however many of these you have, you just work around. See, that got twisted too, so it's easy to get done. It's easy for that to happen. So just keep these out of the way till you go all the way around. I have 2 more to do. This one is attached, so I'm going to go around it and up through the middle. Again, this one got twisted, so just uncurl it. See how you can tell how I have 1 more left, because everything else is coming out the middle. So this is the last one. I go under the attached one and up through that center. All right, before I pull anything, I want to look and go, oops, I missed something. I missed a couple. See how this should be, I didn't do very good. Should be in the middle. These 2 should be on the outside. So yeah, good thing I checked. So I'm just going to double check that. All right, what I want is the 2 yellows out here, the 2 pinks out here, and everything else coming up the center. And I did, yeah, so double check yourself. I probably haven't done this in 5 years. So now I'm holding my knot and I'm pulling 1 cord at a time. I think it's a little easier to do when you, I'll show you later. Anyway, hold it, pull. Okay, so that makes a very nice, neat, flat end, and you decide how much tassel you want. Don't leave too much because kids will get in tassel fights, and that is very painful. So do not let them do that. So however long you want your tassel, cut that off. And you've got this lovely keychain to share with people, your children, your friends, even you. I love to do this. It keeps my hands busy. Haven't done them in a long time, but it's been fun to pull them out again. But you can have it spiral all the way around. It probably would have looked better if I ended with flat, so it would continue the same pattern, but I'm kind of picky about that. You could do whatever. Again, this one was made with 2 cords that are 1.5 yards and 1 cord that was 2 yards. This one is made with 3 cords that are 2 yards with 1 cord that is 3 yards. For kids, the length, when you're dealing with 2 yards of length in the beginning of the weaving of this, it's a little long. So maybe save this for middle school, high school, until they have mastered the shorter ones. But these are pretty cool. All right. I started this one earlier today. It has 3 cords that are 1.5, 1 cord that is 2. It's around, I wove through 1 single cord there. You do the weaving the same way. You hold it between your middle finger and ring finger, sewing cords to the left and right. Bring your what's up down over your index finger and pull in with your thumb, up with the cord, in with your thumb, up, in, up. Then hold this down. Make sure your finger up here has some slack. Bring your sewing cord over. And now you have 3 cords. The easiest thing to do is take all 3 to the back, all at the same time. You can do them one at a time, but I think that's kind of tedious. So pull them all back. Make sure they're to the right of their loop. See, the right of their loop. Then you pick the sewing cord back here that you haven't used yet. Send it through. And tighten it down. Pulling gentle in all directions. Continue this and you will get a spiral like this. The sewing cord in this case is blue, and again it's going to show on the outside. It'll also be on the very inside right here, this like this white one is, so this will be striped. Blue, pink, blue, pink, blue, pink, all the way around. So, cool little design. This particular cord is glittery, lovely, pretty. Just wanted you to know that it's stiff, more stiff than the other, and even though it's really pretty, sometimes students find it a little more awkward to tighten the knots, so just fair warning. But I had to play with this. It had a blue, red, and yellow one, and then here's a multi-rainbow one that's just lovely. Had to play with it. So I'm going to start one, excuse me, that is a total of 4 cords. The first 3 cords are 1.5 yards. And I'm going to start it again over my index finger. See how, I mean, that's really stiff. All right, what do you do first? You better secure what you're going to run your keys through. Because these are, I'm using a bigger or a larger number, I'm going to just try this one and see how that does. I'm going to put it through all three. I've never done that before, but I think it'll work. And that'll give you a lot more support. So we're going to give it a try. It's over my index finger, so I'm going to weave down, up, down, up, down, up. Hold that in place. See, I'm working on the outside edge of my fingers. Can give it a little more slack if I want to. My sewing cord is this multiple color one where I will feed it through and find the other end. I found the other end. I'm going to put them together. So when I pull, I find the center. Just like we did on the smaller one. Again, these are stiff. So it's, and I want the gold in the center. So that I purposely did that for design purposes to match sort of this orange gold keychain. And you see how it's stiff, it has its mind of its own. So this one I have to do one at a time. 1, 2, 3, and I'm holding them down with my fingers back here. It's really awkward. Pick the one that I haven't done yet, send it through here. And let's see how it tightens. If it doesn't tighten very well using all three of those cords, then I will go back to a single cord. But I'm going to see how it does. I think that'll work. Oh, got to pull really tight. Again, when you start a cord, don't just leave it one time. Do at least 3 knots. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. Pull this over. Secure it. Now you can do all 3 at the same time. Just making sure you don't get them twisted. Turn this. Get it going the right way. And pull it snug. Now when you do 3 cords across, it is going to be wider and it's going to use up your sewing cord faster. So that's why your sewing cord is always longer, because it's what goes back and forth in each stitch. So I will continue this as that I am getting close to the end. This is all that I have left, and you don't want it so short that you realize, oop, I went too far and I need slack to make my tassel. So be careful of not going too far with that. So I'm almost to the point where I'm going to stop, because these are having a mind of their own because they are so short. So I'm going to come across here. This is my sewing cord. See, I don't have much left on my sewing cord. So this is my next to last time that I'm going to tighten it. This next time around, I'm going to end it. All right, so it's long enough for a nice keychain. This was the shorter length. The difference between a yard is this. So this was made with the same amount of cordage, and a yard would probably give you another 1.5 inches. So that kind of gives you an idea of how long you want it. But honestly, the 1.5 yards is plenty long, especially if you're new to this. All right, you see how curly these are when they're short, and they just have a mind of their own. All right, so I'm going to do my last stitch where I'm repeating the exact same thing I've been doing. I pull the sewing cord over, secure that, flip these to the right. The other cord, see how short this is? I go through here, and I don't want to pull it all the way tight. All right, so I want to pull it, but I want to leave some slack. Now this time, remember I had the gold in the center, so I'm going to separate these two gold strands, and I'm going to aim right in between those two gold strands. Hopefully I'll aim a little better than I did the last time. So I'm going to take one cord. This is the cord closest to it that's secure. So I'm going to go past the secure cord and up between the gold cords. Okay. So I'm going to pick the next loose cord, which is this one. Move the others out of the way. I'm going to pass the secure cord up between the gold ones. A little awkward again. Pass the secured cord up between the gold ones. Looks kind of strange. Don't worry about it. Pass the secure one up through the center. Pass the secure one up through the center. You see how if you had left this, if you kept going and wanted to make it longer, it would be really hard to do all this and keep a secure end up through the center. Again, do you see how that one is secure? It's hard to see, I know, sorry. That one is secure. I'm going past it and up through the middle. It's easier to see when there's not so many. I pick this up and I look here, that one is secure, it's not loose. So I'm going to go past it and up through the middle. All right, before I tighten anything, I want to double check that they're all coming out of the same place. There's a gold one on this side, gold one on this side, sewing cord on this side, sewing cord on this side. All right, so I know I have them in the right place. So now I'm going to hold my hand to where my thumb and finger secure this part, and I'm going to start pulling one cord at a time. And as I pull it, I shift it to the other side of my hand. Okay? Woo, isn't that magic? One pull at a time. Now, I have a tail that's rather curved, and I don't need all that extra. But again, double check, pull, make sure it's tight. I don't need that much length. So I'm gonna cut it off about right there. Okay. All right, I hope this helps with your summer vacation, keeping your kids' hands busy or your own. And again, if you have this type of keychain, then, oh my word, well, that's defective. Well, that's sad. So, well, this is what we'll do. We'll show you how you shift. Pull that out. Put something in between to give this some space. Scissors probably aren't the best thing. Don't want to cut myself. There we go. Have the older kids do that. Okay, I'm going to run it through. Well, I used a paper clip to separate that. And I'm going to run it through all 3 of those loops. Alright. And I can slip this out. Well, slipped it out too soon. And twist this around. There. There. Now, double check these before you use them. Okay, that will work. You can get one of these that fit and connect it to there, and go from there. Oh well. Happy accident, I guess. It's better to find out that it was defective now and replace it than give it away and it break on the first try.